Have you ever felt stuck in communicating with others? Have you ever been criticized as a bad communicator? If you have, this video is for you. In the next 5 minutes, I will turn you into a top communicator. First of all, communication is not such a terrible thing if you simplify it. The essence of communication is simply listening and speaking. And all you need to do is learn how to listen and learn how to speak, right? Now I will share with you some ways to do it better. Start with listening. There is a fatal mistake that makes you communicate worse and worse. That is, you do not distinguish between listening and hearing. The next time you communicate with someone, do not just listen unconsciously. Do not just receive information unconsciously. Instead, listen to the information that the other person gives you wisely. Specifically, when you communicate with someone, look straight at them. But I would like to remind you that you should never stare into their eyes because it will make them feel pressured and uncomfortable. Look at the space between their eyebrows. That point of view will make both of you feel comfortable and can communicate better. As I said above, don't just listen, learn to respond. It will be boring if you talk for hours and the other person is just silent. Every time the person opposite you has a break, you should ask a few questions about what they just shared so that they feel that you are listening to them attentively. Here I would like to note that you should ask open questions instead of closed questions. To make it easier to understand, we have the following example. Suppose your friend shares with you that he just had an interesting experience in Texas. A bad communicator will not look at the speaker, will ask closed questions like, "Really?" A good communicator will listen attentively to the story and ask questions mixed with exclamations like, "Really? Can you share more about that experience?" Or, "That's interesting. I also want to have an experience like yours one day." That's about listening. What about speaking? Watch the video until the end. I'm sure you can become a good communicator. First of all, I'm sure you understand the importance of body language. Sometimes our words can't express the whole story. Let's leave that part to body language. Pay attention. In speeches, speakers always make the most of what body language can do. They spread their arms out to the sides when welcoming. They bow when saying goodbye. They use their hands to express what they are saying. And I'm sure you will be like me. You will also find their sharing very interesting. So focus on your body language. Second, keep the conversation positive. Would you want to talk to someone who is always negative, always gloomy, and says negative words? Of course not. Because when we receive too much negative information, our body will be tired and lose all energy. The basic thing for you to become a good communicator is to keep your story positive. I agree that not everything we share has to be positive, but keep the majority of your story when communicating positive. Third, don't talk nonstop. Always create silences. Silences so you can think about what you are going to share. Silences so the listener can have a chance to respond. An example of that, think back to your high school experiences. Would you rather study with a lecturer who talks continuously for hours or a lecturer who occasionally asks questions and interacts with the whole class? Definitely the second case, because when you only listen and listen, the other person will fall asleep and not focus on what you say. That will indirectly make you feel bored and not want to talk anymore. Therefore, remember to create silence so that both of you can really communicate together, not just one person talking and the other person listening. Finally, in communication, long is not always good. Imagine, you are very busy and the other person talks forever and you don't understand what they are trying to say. That is very bad, and I hope you don't make this mistake. All information should stop at the level of short, concise, and understandable. It is very difficult to practice this. However, I have a simple exercise for you as follows. Try writing down on paper the happiest experience in your life. Then, help me ask a question. Is there a way to tell this experience in a shorter way but still ensure the content? Repeat the question 3 to 5 times and you will have an interesting, meaningful story. You may think this exercise is silly, but trust me, it only takes 5 minutes, but it will improve your communication skills for the rest of the time. Above are the most basic things to be able to communicate better. I hope that through this video you can communicate better and more successful in work and life. If you find my sharing useful, please click like, subscribe to get more skills from 5-Minute Skills.